Hi everyone and welcome back to Woman2Woman. Are you good at telling stories? Perhaps you have a favourite story. When we tell bedtime stories to our children, it's usually to help them to get to sleep. But when Jesus told stories, it was to reveal truths. In today's instalment of our study of Jesus, we looked at Jesus, the storyteller. If you know your Bible, then you will know that Jesus taught in parables. In fact, there's an estimated 46 parables of Jesus in the New Testament. Today we looked at what parables are and we explored a little about why the teacher frequently used them in his teachings. Many have described them as earthly stories, but with heavenly meanings. So even though they were fictional, they were relevant and true to everyday life. In fact, he used everyday examples of life, such as family and relationships, farming and agriculture. I wonder what examples he would use if he were speaking a parable in our present day. Perhaps social media, corporate business, maybe even fast food, for instance. But why did he speak in parables? Well, they were an interesting and thought-provoking way to get the attention of his followers, his students. But not only that, by teaching in this way, he was reaching those that so desperately wanted to hear from him and learn from him. What about you? Do you desperately want to learn from him? It also separated those that were desperate for the truth and those that were merely curious or had an ulterior motive. For those that wanted to know the truth, that wanted to be taught by Jesus, would simply ask, "Master, explain this parable." Is that you today? Are you desperate for the truth to be revealed? Perhaps you want to understand his word. Then simply ask him to explain it. Today we looked at one of his well-known parables, the parable of the lost son, or the prodigal son. In this story, Jesus tells of a young boy that decides that the grass is greener on the other side. So he asks his loving father for his inheritance early. He leaves his home and all that love him, and he goes in search of the bright lights. However, the grass turned out not to be greener on the other side, and he wasted his money in all sorts of distractions and attractions. Then he's left destitute, starving and homeless, alone, ashamed. He comes to his senses and he realises that what he had with his father and his loving family was actually pretty special. He returns home, not expecting much, even if they give him a job as a servant. Jesus goes on to tell us that as the son makes his way home, his father is running towards him. With his arms outstretched wide, he embraces his son, he kisses him, and he gives him fine gifts. He throws a party, a celebration for his return. So what is the heavenly meaning in this earthly story? Well, you could summarise it this way. You have a father that loves you. You might not always have appreciated that. Perhaps you've wandered away, turned your back on him. Maybe you're living with the consequences of that, unhappy, unsettled. Perhaps you don't know who you are anymore, lost, confused. Well, even though you may have wandered away, your father is right where you left him, and he is waiting for you to come home. So don't be afraid, just make your way back, for he loves you and he forgives you. And he has a plan for you and a purpose. You are part of his family, you are his child, and he couldn't love you any more than he already does. That's the truth that the storyteller Jesus wants to reveal to you today. Until next time, God bless.